Welcome to Power Couples Rock Live, version 7. I remembered how many we've done.
I know, that's so cool.
7, wow.
Lucky number 7.
That's something special in 7. Completion.
Yeah. So, my name is Chris, and for those of you who have never attended or been here for a Power Couples Rock Live event, I'm actually flying solo tonight. My better half, my partner in crime, my most beautiful wife, who usually sits right here, is is traveling and working tonight. So I'm like a man without an island tonight. But I can't think of a better place to be than right here tonight with my most favorite power couple in the universe, Carlos and Catherine Green. What's up,
my brother?
Hey, Chris, and what's up to you, Power Couples?
What's up, Power Couples?
Oh, it's so good to be with you on this Friday night.
Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. We don't take this lightly at all that you guys are part of our show tonight.
Oh, that's exactly right. We have something really special for tonight. We have 2 special guests. Well, it's like 4 of them together. They're couples, 2 couples that are going to be sharing with us about conflict resolution, telling us is there healthy conflict, and we need to. Yeah, I think they're going to let us know about that. Yeah. And so with that, we want to first just jump off with quotes for today. Is that what we're going to be talking about? We're going to turn this back over to Chris.
Yeah, we're going to do a little housekeeping. So,
cool.
So I know there's some new people, and wow. Okay, I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm stoked that there's a lot of people that have joined tonight. Thank you so much for the support. So I know there's some new people out there, and so the way this works, you may have been on Zoom calls all week. This isn't Zoom, right?
Thank you.
Put Zoom aside. This is about participating with other power couples. It's about doing life with other power couples. It's about being in community with other power couples. So, and some of you are already, some of you people, you already know what to do, because I'm seeing these chimes. I see Irma Wilson from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yes.
I see Andrea Hall from Cincinnati, Ohio. Man, you want to talk about somebody that's a super fan, and we love Andrea, and we love your voice, Andrea. So thank you for chiming in. How about this? Richard Serrano.
What's up, Serrano?
Family
from Philadelphia.
Oh man, we got to get the Serranos on this show.
I know, we definitely will.
We love them.
They're amazing.
But we would love to hear from you tonight. Who you are, where you're chiming in from. City, state, country. If you're in Kazakhstan, we want to hear from you. But these shows, the way these things roll out, for those of you, this is your first time. We have some great guests, and we have a musical guest that comes in at the end that gets you powered up. And tonight, I'm not gonna spoil it, but tonight we've got to. I mean, we keep raising the bar, and it's like at some point, it's like, I mean.
At some point, I'm gonna have to sing.
No, okay, but it's raising the bar, Carlos.
We're doing some Simone Biles over here. We're just flipping and touching the bar and raising the bar and reaching the bar.
Yes. Right. But we have licensed therapists and we're getting some great feedback from you guys. And so if you at any point in time want to go back and watch any of these shows, you're not going to be able to interact like we are tonight and be able to ask questions and chime in and have us be interactive. Tiffany, we see you from Manning, South Carolina.
Yes.
But you can go back and watch these things because there's some great content. We had Adam and Adrian Mixon from Birmingham, Alabama last time. The Triple Threat, they came on. There was an interview, and they and some, by the way, if there's one thing that I learned, Carlos and Catherine, about Power Couples Rock Live from the last show, is that people love to win free stuff.
Oh.
They do. They love to win free stuff.
Man, they love that free stuff. So
we got
tonight,
some more free stuff
we're going to be giving away. So So, and you know, we give it away based on how you participate and your questions and all of that stuff. So lean in tonight. We've got the Taylors that are here, and I'm going to let Catherine introduce them. And they're a great couple. And we've got some, like I said, if you at any point in time want to go back and watch any of these shows, you can. We've cobbled them all together, and you can go to Power Couples Rock Live. PowerCouplesRock.com. Let me find the banner. I'm multitasking here. Here we go. All of our live shows are available for replay. PowerCouplesRock.com/live.
Yes.
You see, I don't know how to act without my wife here. She's usually like poking me, like click that.
I know.
Y'all don't see it, but she's always poking me on this.
She keeps you in line. That's what it is.
Oh man. Hey, Teresa, Decatur, what's up? Here we go. We got some local people.
Taylor. I love it. That's good.
But yeah, so when we start out the show, we call this the first five, and when we do that, we just like to set it off with some quotes to note and some other things to just kind of set the table and kind of get things going in the right direction. And I know tonight we're talking about resolving conflict with the Taylors, and I know Alfred and Catherine Neal are joining later as our musical guests, as you know, and so it's all tied together. So. I think, Sonia normally starts things off with a quote to note, but obviously she's not here. So I'm taking over for her, although she did send me this quote. So this is not something technically from me.
She's on her game. She's on her game, okay?
Yeah, she definitely is on her game.
She's a great helpmeet. Now let's go.
That's right. So the quote to note is, conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional.
Wow.
Ooh,
that's Max Lucado, obviously Christian author, many books.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. And I know, Carlos, you have another quote.
I have a quote to note too, and it says, "A great marriage is born the moment when a husband and wife decide to stop fighting against each other and to start fighting for each other."
Ooh.
Dave and Ashley Willis.com. They are Christian authors as well as presenters as well. So I love that when a husband and a wife decide to stop fighting against each other and start fighting for each other.
I love that. I love that. Wayne Fudge back in the house.
He's
Wayne,
back in the house.
Winner of the book last week.
Winner last week. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for
I got my
joining
cousins
us.
on too from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Rick and Wanda Watkins.
Hey, Watkins.
There's Rick, Murfreesboro in the house.
In the house. I'm loving him.
Well, to go with your quote,
Yes,
I want to give just some fun facts. And we're dealing with conflict. So I wanted to give you the 5 biggest areas of conflict in couples. And I got this from a Relevant magazine. Of course, there's many things you can get out there, but I thought this would be just really cool to start out. And our special guest is going to give us some more in-depth items that we could talk about. But these are the 5 biggest that came up: money, sex, work, children, and chores. Didn't I tell you to take out the trash?
I know, right? What are those again?
Money, sex, work, children, and chores. I can hardly get it out.
Wow.
Chores. So those are the 5 biggest areas of conflict for couples. That's at least one study had said. So
wow, chores.
that
That's
in
kind of a
mind.
surprise.
I know, chores.
Absolutely.
I guess roles
and
responsibilities.
understanding that.
Okay.
And
Right.
who's going to clean the refrigerator out?
Okay.
Clean the garage out.
Clean the garage out, that kind of thing. So
We just outsource everything.
uh,
We have people come in and do that
Right.
for us. I'm sorry. What's up, Joyce?
hey, Joyce, hold. So that's our fun facts for marriage.
Awesome. Good stuff, man. I can't thank you all enough. Everybody that's chiming in. Look, Victoria Parker is in the house.
Yes.
Don't in-laws and outside influences.
That's part of
That's
that could
part
be
of
some
it. That's going to be some good discussion. Oh,
I
you
love
talking?
that.
Yes.
For the biggest areas of conflict.
Yes, we're going to discuss some more with our therapists. They have some others. I'm sure we know the top one is usually money and sex, but yeah, it can vary as you get on down. But yeah, in-laws is a big discussion and could be a conflict. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So, Catherine, I think without further ado, I think we probably should introduce our special guest. They want to, nobody wants to hear us talk anymore. They can listen to a podcast and listen to us talk, right?
Exactly.
They want to know how to resolve conflict.
Exactly.
Or healthy conflict. It is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I am so excited to introduce my friend who does similar work that I do, and that she has a heart for the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Tina many years ago when I was out in the field trying to strengthen relationships, and I met her and she was out doing this work, and I just could not pass her up and to help me really get this word out to other people. So she was a facilitator to help us strengthen families in the community. And then on top of that, people loved her. When I would send her out as one of my trainers, they would just always request Tina to come back, because the way she delivers the information is just so relatable and it's very encouraging, but can be some tough discussions. And I just loved her insight on that. She is a licensed professional counselor. She has a master's in Christian counseling. And so she could tell you a little bit more about herself in depth, but those are just the highlights. She's married to Mr. Cory Taylor. Yes. He is a skilled musician. And so what he does is take musicians to the next level. He elevates them. And so you may can ask him about that a little bit later, but and he could tell you specifically, but we're going to be rolling how to get in touch with him on that, as well as how to get in touch with Tina. They have 3 beautiful children. They've been married 12 years, and I'm super excited. They do this work around helping couples around conflict. So that's enough of me talking, because I want to jump in so we can start the conversation and have you join in on that conversation. So let's welcome Cory and Tina Taylor. Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
I love that.
We just got out of some conflict. So,
let me say today, I wore my shirt because we were dealing with conflict resolution, and I wore my shirt that I got on the cruise. I love my husband. Just so y'all know, if we have tension on here.
a nice reminder for yourself too. I love my husband.
You just keep telling yourself that over and over again. Right?
That's right. We want to thank you guys so much for having us here. We're very excited to be here. We want to thank everybody that's joined. We know that we sent this out to our community, and so we were so happy to see many of them join. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, we're happy to see our elders, the elders Gilstraps, Walter and Teresa Gilstraps, and they are 2 who've been working in the marriage maybe longer I've been alive, almost. But we've gleaned so much from them. So
a lot.
We're so glad to see that they're on as well.
Yes.
That's great. We're excited to have you. Just tell us, why do you do this work that you do for couples?
Yeah, I think that when I first went to college, I wanted to major in counseling, and I knew that immediately. But then, you're introduced to so many things in college, and the very biggest thing that stuck out to me is that I didn't come from a home I came from, and I was just baffled by that. And I became so grateful of my parents and all the work that they've done. And so it just really propelled me more. So I knew I wanted to do counseling, but then it's like, I got to reach this family unit. I mean, my family's great. Everybody else has a great family. Not perfect, but my family's great. And everybody's got to have this great family. And so really my heart was just to develop the families. And of course that starts with, the marriage unit. And if that's strong, then everything else that follows is strong with it as well. So my heart just really went out that others could experience what God intended in family and what He blessed me to experience. And so I wanted to share that with everybody else.
And part of my job is working in the church. So I'm a music director at a church, New Covenant Christian Ministries in Lithonia. And so, but over the past few years, I've been a music director and a minister of music. And so part of my job, about 80% of my job is not music. It's just working with people. And so being enmeshed in people's lives and families. And so it kind of worked. Tina and I meshed really well, even though we're different career paths. We're still working with people and their lives.
We're both teachers. Yeah.
Right.
So, Cory, how did you meet this beautiful lady who's sitting beside you, where you guys have been married 12 years? How'd you guys meet?
It's a funny story. I actually, it was a convention, and I was 15, and I was walking around with my little piece of paper getting girls' numbers. And I turned the corner and I saw Tina, and I'm not one given to this kind of stuff, but when I saw her, everything else kind of went dark, and it was like a bright light on her, and I immediately I said, "Oh, that's my wife," and I knew it immediately, and so I said, "I got to get a number," and the rest was history from there.
Wow, 15?
15.
You were 15.
Yes, sir.
And
15.
you knew. Oh my God.
God spoke it to me very clearly. That's my wife. First time I laid eyes on her, I had never talked to her before. I didn't get my wife.
I remember going to some of those conventions and some boys trying to get my number. I remember that wasn't you. I remember going to some of those conventions. That's sweet. Well, let's jump right in to our topic. We're going to be talking about conflict, and so maybe you just want to start out. We'll turn the floor over to you, and then we jump in with questions. And we want all of our viewers who are listening, please put your questions in the comment field, and so we can answer those questions.
So, Tina, can you start by giving us, define what conflict really is, especially in a relationship? How do you guys look at that through your lens?
Sure, absolutely. I think conflict is something that's actually more common than we think it is. I think when we hear that word conflict, we kind of have a negative connotation because it is opposing views. It is a difference of opinion. We kind of get this image of going against, and that is very much the image. However, I think it's a lot common than we think. We actually engage in conflict all throughout our day, and we resolve it all throughout our day. I mean, from where do you want to eat? I want to eat here, or I want to eat here. Okay, then we'll eat here. And so these things happen so frequently and so quickly that sometimes we don't necessarily realize that that's conflict. Somehow we've got it in mind that, conflict is this drag out fight, and it can be that. But I think what we really want to introduce and maybe help with the mind shift is that it can be much similar to those common conflicts that we have throughout the day, that they can be resolved nearly as easily as those as well. And I think that begins with the paradigm shift. And so as a counselor, I certainly came in our marriage with these definitions and these ideals of what conflict is and what we ought to do. But to my shame, and to all of my degrees, my husband has really, I think, given me the best definition of conflict that changed my mindset completely about what conflict is and help me engage in it a little bit more in a more healthier way.
Yeah, so my so Tina gave the formal definition, but my kind of approach on it is thinking of two lives meshing, whether in a friendship or a marital relationship, two lives coming together, and where there's a hang up, where it doesn't actually fit, that's where you differ. You have differing ideas on a topic, and so it's not a cause for alarm. Rather, it's an opportunity for you to get to know each other, because this is where you differ. So these are the things that you want to get to work out and get to know each other on.
Yeah,
because I think sometimes people, when they think about conflict, especially in marriage, they're thinking about fights, right? They're thinking about things that are contentious, things that are, but a lot of times that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about situations that aren't necessarily, you may not know that it's a conflict, but you may not know it's necessarily, it can lead to something that's a little more argumentative, but you're talking about some smaller things that married couples should be looking out for and trying to circumvent.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to propose is that those things that were really big, they became really big because of your mindset of how you view conflict. If you view conflict, perhaps we can minimize those numbers. Like, conflict is inevitable, as we mentioned. We have it all throughout the day. It's not just the drag out fights. It's not just where we're going to eat for dinner. Like, it's not just the issue or the parenting issue or the sex issues. We resolve conflict constantly. And so the tools that we use to solve those smaller conflicts, we can also use in those bigger conflicts. which could help us navigate them. So we definitely want to say, hey, if you came here because you feel like you got a heavy conflict, well, we want to help you through that. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to Debbie cake it. But what we are saying is that it starts with the mind shift that, hey, I know how to deal with conflict. In fact, I do it all the time. I just need to bring those skills to the things I consider heavy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. So here's a comment here from Joyce, because you mentioned that earlier. Where to eat is common conflict. Glad it isn't just us.
Exactly.
Right. That's a huge thing. And it's like if you're involved with kids too, and it's like, okay,
Yes.
where does everybody want to eat? Right. And your wife may be saying, someone make a decision for me. I don't want to have to decide or to cook tonight. So somebody decide for me.
Right.
And then no one decides, or no one takes that. No one listens to her and is considerate to her and says, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to make that decision for her. Instead, it just turns into, I want to go to this and I hate that. And I don't like that. And it just becomes something that's a conflict. So what would you say is kind of the most common kind of conflicts? I know Catherine talked earlier, about finances and sex, and I'm sorry, Catherine, what were the other ones?
How could you forget chores?
Chores. How can I?
And children.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think right up on that list, absolutely, you're right. All of those things are top of the list for sure. I know even for us, chores would be at the top of the list very early on in the marriage. And specifically, loading the dishwasher was an issue. The dishwasher is not human. It can run 3 times. If all the things don't get in there, you can run it again.
But if you immediately put them in there,
right? You're exactly right, Cory. It's the way you put them in the dishwasher. Don't put anything in the dishwasher. I do that.
You can run it again.
I'm maximizing the dishwashing. Okay.
I actually think I can. He does a great job with it. I just think he stuffed it too much. What's the purpose?
My mom always said, and if Sonia were here, she would be like pointing at me like you wouldn't believe, because I'm the same. I don't get to load the dishwasher, but my mom always said, there's always room for one more dish in the dishwasher. And she's right. I mean, you can cram a lot of dishes in that dishwasher. Now, they may not always come clean, but
Or you can just run it again. I mean,
That's right.
It does fire. The machine is made to wash dishes.
Love it.
Right.
So what are some other things that people actually argue about?
Some common things they argue.
They do, and it can go another level if you don't have the skills and the tools that we're going to talk about. So I definitely think chores and money and parenting and faith can be up there too. If your faith, it can be up there as well. But really, there are only 2 issues that couples argue about.
Two types of
two types of conflict.
So that would be solvable. These are the small things that we've been talking about, like the dishwasher, the route to work, the route to this restaurant. And then there are the perpetual conflicts. And these are ones that are kind of consistent throughout the marriage, like money, faith, parenting styles. So
In-laws.
Those in-laws. So these are the 2 big categories of conflict, I guess you might say.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Tina.
And so those solvable things are things that, they may come and go, and you guys find a solution. Maybe it's not what you wanted, but you tend to not have that much stock in it or that much value in it, just kind of pass it over. And maybe it lasts a day or 2 or until you figure it out. But as Cory mentioned, the perpetual, there are issues that may come up and then it kind of quiets down, then it comes up, quiets down. And here we are a decade later talking about the same thing. And so for our marriage, that perpetual issue was a work-life balance. Yeah. How much we work, how much we enjoy life and do things together as a family. And for me, being very family-oriented, it's my business, healing hearts, making family a priority. It was very difficult to notice that, this guy that pursued me so much and gave me all of his time and attention now works all the time and doesn't really join in as I would like. And so one thing that we kind of laugh about now is that when we first got married, I would literally follow Cory around the house, because growing up, when you're home, you're with your family. You do everything. We watch TV together, we eat together, whatever. We're just together. He would close doors. I'm like, why are you closing the door? Like,
Cory, like, what are you doing? Like,
you don't close the door. So yeah, and so while we aren't talking about closed doors anymore, this work-life balance still comes up, and I think that that's probably another common issue among marriages.
Oh yeah,
especially and so from her point of view, you know, my working is separating me from the family. But I guess the snare of it for me is that I feel like I'm working for the family, and so it's a nasty cycle that you can get in, and it's something that I continually go round and round about with, you know, for even now. So I work at a church, so I'm the music director there, so I spend a number of hours there a week, and then I run 2 companies, and I have employees and these things. So, you know, my time can get away from me, and I work my passion, so it's something I enjoy doing. I'm doing music. I love it. So
I love when you say
you work to spend all day. What's that?
I say I love when you say you work your passion. That's great.
Yeah.
But how are you guys? What did you guys put in place so that you don't have this perpetual conflict going on regarding your work-life balance and spending time with each other? Was there anything specifically that you guys did to resolve that issue?
Well, first off, I say this is one of those, for us, it's one of those perpetual issues that, so it's cycles. So there are times we're doing really, really well. So we have date nights in place, but sometimes we'll miss a few date nights. And then it kind of cycles around. One of the things I have is for me to continue to always do something for my wife specifically. So not for the family, like working, but something specific for her, to let her know that she's special to me. She means something to me. I care about her very much. So those are like little notes I have for myself.
And we went to counseling. We sat down with wise counsel that helped us see the vision and get to the other side of how, you know, others are thinking. I think that issue in our marriage was probably common to most marriages because women, and I'm going to give some general statements. I know these are very generalized statements, but women are typically relational and men are typically task oriented. So this work-life thing probably shows up in other marriages as well. Maybe not quite the same as ours, but it shows up. And so that's a gender thing, because I will always be a woman. He will always be a man. That makes it a perpetual issue because our focus, our function, our purpose is different. That sometimes we may have a hard time understanding the other because we only know what we want. And so another thing that may cause perpetual issues are personality types. And can cause perpetual issues. Sometimes the way that we approach life, that's not going to change. And I think that's the key of perpetual issues, because we talked about conflict always being inevitable. There are some things that you're going to possibly always deal with in your marriage. The goal is to know how not to allow this to disrupt our union, how to not allow this to slow down what we're moving towards. We have to know, oh, okay, here comes that thing again. Let's team up against it, as opposed to opposing one another.
Yeah. So one thing, like one issue we had was whenever we transition. So we moved from South Carolina to Georgia, or there's some type of transition, or children. My answer to the transition is go work hard, make more money, so we can, you know, she can be home and not have to be burdened with having to help bring in money and deal with the transition. But her reaction to transition is we cling and come together as a family. So this butts because I'm trying to go and work and create and bring, and she wants to huddle.
Yeah.
Right. Huddle and cuddle.
Yeah, she need that QT, that quality time.
Yeah. I know last time we did the show, I let this go too long. I'm not going to let this go too long because we haven't talked about your book yet, Tina, and we need to do that. So it's time to do a giveaway. And so for those of you We haven't even talked about the book yet, but just know it's awesome. And and it's on pre-order on Amazon. I'm gonna stick the link in the chat, and it'll be on the show notes for you guys to check on later. But there is going to be an autographed copy from Miss Tina Taylor that we're going to give away right now. So get your thumbs ready. And I promise this time I won't call anybody out for misspelling anything, because I know you're just too excited to win the book. So I won't call anybody. That's my bad from last week. So here's the question. And the first person I see that shows up on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter to answer this question gets a free autographed copy of Tina Taylor's upcoming book coming on July 26th, right? I Am a Gift. So in the chat, I want you to type the 2 types of conflicts. The 2 types of conflicts that Cory and Tina spoke about. And the first oh, that was quick. I got thunder thumbs. Keep typing though. Keep typing though.
Yes.
Keep typing when we got.
Okay. Here we go. All right, Marquita Collins Hawkins.
Congratulations.
Oh man, there's a lot of people that are coming in with answers. There's too many to click on here, but thank you for that. And Marquita, you're on Facebook. Please go to Power Couples Rock Facebook post. And well, if you're following Power Couples Rock, we'll be able to find you and get your information so we can get the book out to you. So that was our little segment on the book, and I'll back to your regular scheduled program.
Okay. We will do another giveaway, but I had a question about, what do you do when you just cannot or don't agree?
Yes.
What do you do? What are some steps, or what can I do?
Yeah, so we thought that would be a question people would have because you're here because you want to know what to do. And so we really want to guide you through the entirety of a conflict, how it starts, the middle, and the end. And I think in that will kind of help answer, what do you do when you don't agree?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So the first thing you need to do happens before you even get into the conflict. And so the first thing you want to do is agree on how you want to handle the conflict.
I love it.
And so you can get out a sheet of paper and you and your spouse and write these things down. How do you want to handle conflict? We want to set ground rules before the game starts. Rules of engagement before the actual, conflict begins. And so that might be something like we won't raise our voice. We won't have a conflict in public. We won't use foul language.
Go to bed mad. Some people say that as well.
We won't do the 4 horsemen. Now, I was introduced to this by my wife in her counseling studies. It's by Dr. John Gottman. She'll tell you more about the 4 horsemen.
Oh yeah. So the 4 horsemen are criticism, content, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Criticism, content, defensiveness, and stonewalling. And so really quick, criticism is when you begin to criticize your character, your person. So when you're talking to your spouse, it may sound like you. Contempt is kind of when you're looking down your nose at them as though you're mightier. I had one situation, someone thinks they're wiser than somebody else. Then there is also stonewalling. Now, stonewalling means leaving the conversation. Sometimes that's physically leaving. Other times that is checking out mentally. Yep. That means I'm looking at you, but I'm not listening. Or I hear you talking, but it's not moving me. So you kind of just check out. And then lastly, defensiveness, which I think is very difficult, not impossible, but difficult to overcome, is when someone is telling you something that maybe they want to see change and you come right back at to them, like, but you. And I think that's difficult because, babies defend themselves. You put your hand in a baby's face, he's going to swat it away. So how much more us? But it's something that we have to learn how to overcome. And so saying that we're not going to do those things, I think sets us up for something better, because none of those things show up when you're talking about, let's go, what color you like, red or blue. that's still an opposing idea. I like blue, I like green, that's opposing, but still that doesn't show up. So if we can remove those things from other decisions that may oppose, perhaps we can get through them a little faster.
And then the key of it is allow the person, your spouse, to call you on it when you slip into that phase. Right?
Yeah.
You have to say, I give you permission if I start to yell, or if I start to stonewall, or if I start getting defensive. You say, well, you didn't sweep the floor. Well, you didn't clean the back. Oh, well, maybe you're getting defensive. I that, right? And so you have to be willing to accept their spouse's ability to hold you accountable. And so you have to agree on these things before you even get into the argument. Because what normally happens is there's no plan for the argument. So when the disagreement or the conflict happens, it's no holds barred. And we're doing everything, low blows, just saying everything we can to win the argument, to hurt the other person, instead of trying to get to resolve.
Yeah, things get heated, right? And it's just like, I know we agreed to that we were holding each other accountable, but you just, you're seeing red, right? And you're in the heat of that. We got a question here that I thought would be good to cover here from Joyce. How long is acceptable for taking time out?
Oh, great. First of all, I want to say I'm glad that people know about a timeout.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. You can take a time out. I definitely would promote that. As Chris mentioned, if you feel yourself flooding, or you're seeing red, you're emotional flooding, and you want to take a time out. I think one way of doing that is to allow yourself some progress. So definitely 24 hours is too long of a timeout. If an argument happens, closer to bedtime, try to, solve it as quickly as you can before bedtime, but probably the next morning. So, but if not in that case, probably no more than 30 minutes is a long enough timeout. If you guys have ever been like me and kind of ended a situation undone, you find that the longer you stay away, it's harder to come back. Even when you're no longer upset or whatever, sometimes then that, I'm not upset, but now I'm embarrassed. I don't even know how to come back. Oh, I said, mama, like, what I'm gonna do? Like, so you have to come back sooner than later. So probably no more than 30 minutes is a good way. And then you want to measure that, because maybe the first time it's 30 minutes, and now I can come back in 20, now I can come back in 15. And you're learning how to self-soothe. What you do in that time out is not to prepare your argument.
All right.
Okay?
Come on.
Points together. That's not what we do in the timeout. In fact, we're going to move from the beginning of the conversation or conflict, which my husband talked about, in getting your agreement, being in agreement. But the middle part of that is remaining in a relationship. And that's exactly what you're doing in the middle. You're saying, hey, this is the person I love. This is somebody I want to be connected with. Let me try to understand what they've been trying to say. Let me get their side of the story.
Yeah.
So Chris, did you say something?
We've got a question here from Wonderfully Made. What's the difference between stonewalling and taking a time out? Okay, well, taking a time out is we're going to agree, we're going to take some time and just kind of maybe go to a separate room for a little bit and just kind of de-escalate. As I said about flooding, so I'm not sure if you understand what flooding is, but there are some physiological markers that happen when you get into conflict, and you feel your face getting flushed, you're getting angry, you're literally starting to see red. And so you want to take a time out to kind of de-escalate that. Whereas stonewalling is, I could be looking you in your eye right here, but I'm not giving you anything. I'm not here. I'm not listening to you.
Wow.
I'm not paying attention. I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Okay. Well,
I think the biggest key to stonewalling and timeout is that a timeout is announced.
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. Yeah.
That's good.
And they only know that because they know you because of your behavior. Oh, you're not listening to me anymore. You checked out. They know that. But when you time out, you're saying, babe, it's hard for me to think right now. And the words that are coming to my head, I don't want to say to you. I'm going to go.
That.
I'm going to go for a minute, but I'm going to come back. And that only works if you come back.
Yes.
Like you have to come back.
You have to.
Don't get the okey-dokey, and then it's not going to work for you anymore.
Here's the danger.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Here's the danger of not coming back. When you're by yourself in that state, you are very much listening to the voice of emotion. And so that voice of emotion is speaking very loudly in your ear. And generally, it's not giving you wise counsel. They're talking about what you should have said. Why did he say that? Blah, blah, and then that turns into resentment. And so you get this kind of this virus, this infection kind of right here that if you never come back, it never gets
dealt with.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds to me like a timeout is something you decide upon together, and stonewalling is an individual decision.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, Chris, too.
So let's do another book giveaway, because I love doing that. Okay, this time I'm going to make it a little bit harder because I felt like the first one was a softball.
And then, Chris, don't forget we got another question there, but go ahead and do the giveaway, please.
All right, so the first person to correctly identify one of the four horsemen wins an autographed copy of Tina Taylor, I Am a Gift, available on Amazon July 26th, pre-order.
Yes.
Identify one of the four horsemen that you are involved in conflict. So, okay, people, no, we have a winner.
We got one. Yes. Yes.
We got a lot of people that think they know, but
So Brenda said, "Yikes!"
I know.
Dwight, nice, Dwight.
You know what?
They're coming
You know
in.
what? Dwight got 3 out of 4 right here.
I know.
So Dwight, he gets a bonus, maybe an extra special autograph from.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to tell everybody that you can pre-order this for $5.99, and then when it becomes live, it goes to $12.99. So pre-order her book, and it focuses on exploring the journey to womanhood. So Dwight can give that to his wife.
Dwight is married, so he can give that as a gift to his wife. So that's awesome.
All right.
So Chris, we had another question up there, if you would, because I think it was something regarding children, and I think that's so important.
Okay. Okay, here it is. Sorry, I've got. Thank you so much tonight for all the people that are engaging with the questions. I've got to scroll through all of these things to get to this question. So this is from Teresa Gilstrap. Do you think it's healthy for kids to observe conflict between parents? Great question.
Oh, that's a great one.
Wonderful question.
You can start first now.
Okay. I think it's healthy for kids to observe healthy conflicts with healthy parents.
Yes.
So, and the reason I say that is because children will encounter conflict. They already do in their little childlike world. And so what we do is, if you allow them to see conflict from start to finish, they learn that you can have conflict with someone, but you also can remain in relationship with them. And so if you have a conflict in front of children, that you resolve it also in front of children. And those are probably more of those solvable issues that you probably can talk about a little more. Now, I'm not saying be laxed about it. I think the more you grow in marriage, you will know what your hot buttons are. You know what you need to say for after bedtime and not talk about in the car. But then there are other times where you're like, you know what? It's okay for them to see this because they can see the end of it, and they can see how you resolve conflicts and stay in relationship with other people. So, but you have to have honest scales about where you are in your conflict resolution in your marriage. Also, you have to take into account the age of the children. Even our children are fairly young. We're already working with them about conflict resolution amongst their little world. All right, are you displaying fruit of the Spirit? What fruit of the Spirit can you engage in more today? And I mess around and ask them, well, what fruit of the Spirit does mommy need? And I was told I need a little bit more gentleness. So early, they can spot it out.
Out of that mouth of babes.
I love their honesty in it, right?
Yes.
I and thinking about my approach to how I speak to my wife, I realized early in the marriage, I learned how to speak to my wife from watching my dad speak to my mom. And so I'm very aware when we're in the house and the children are around, I don't shy away from a solvable conflict, But then I make sure we handle it in a very healthy manner so they understand that this you don't have to have a knockdown, drag out thing. It doesn't happen.
Now you've talked to us about how we do conflict when we don't agree in beginning. Yeah, I was gonna say they talked about it in the beginning and then talk about the middle, and then there's some ways, I guess, to wrap that up.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So when things are not agreeable, what you want to do is pull back to where you feel that you guys do agree. And we learned that from our great elders. When you can't agree, but where was the last place that we agreed? And you continue to work through that until you come to another place. Now, one thing I think that is important to resolve, we've identified what conflict is, but we want to put the words together because it's about conflict resolution. How do we end conflict? And there are different ways of doing that. Sometimes we think if I don't get my way, it's not done. But sometimes conflict is resolved and you come up empty-handed. Sometimes it's resolved and you got a little bit in your hand. And then sometimes it's resolved and you got the boatload. And neither one of those are wrong. I think the longer you're married, sometimes it's going to be nothing. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit. And then other times you're going to have everything that you desire.
Wow.
And what other words for those? So.
Yeah, we call them accommodating, compromise, collaboration. So accommodating means when I say, okay, I yield to your thought on this. So that might be something like, hey, let's go this way instead of that way. Okay, I yield to you. So that's accommodating. Compromise is where neither side gets everything they wanted, but but they agree, and so they leave satisfied, but didn't get everything. And then collaboration is and this is something we actually did, where you kind of work together and write out different solves to the problem, and then we agree together on how to solve it.
That's good.
That's really good. I really like
that. So that question about, what do you do when you don't agree? We have to decide, keep backing up until the point of agreement. And then someone has to decide, in order for this relationship, what do I desire? What is this thing that I'm holding? And generally, marriage and family theorists say pretty much all conflict is either about power or resources. Power or resources.
Come on now.
If you have a Christian marriage and you take that conflict to the Lord, right? He might talk to you about this power issue. He might talk to you about this resource issue. But ultimately, that's what it is. And sometimes if you ask yourself, am I trying to have a power trip here? Is it really that I want my own way? What's happening? And I think that can help too.
Yeah, there's a couple of comments here. Richard Serrano says, your home is a corporation. And then he says, kind of to what Cory was speaking to, don't look at your wife's complaints as a complaint. They're telling you what the problem is. So there's some good comments there.
This has been a tremendous conversation. I know just this last question that we have before we bring on our music makers, though, is that, so what do you want people to know most about just conflict resolution overall?
Well, I'll take it from the guy's point of view. In conflict, especially for me, I'm a right fighter, and I can recognize that. But in a relationship, honestly, I could say 9 times out of 10, it wasn't about who was right or who was wrong. It was about what's going to resolve this conflict in our relationship. And so the key really is not so much fighting about who's right, but just being empathetic and seeing the other person's side of the issue. All right, and try to get to the other side of the fence, get to their side, and see it, argue it the other way, and that'll help you mend the relationship. And so then it becomes, instead of a fight, it becomes, as we said, just an opportunity to know more about you and understand where you are.
She gave him some kudos.
I love that.
That's my man.
Affirmation.
Do you have anything to add to that, Tina? Anything?
I think, the Bible says that how can two walk together unless they agree? And so based on what knowledge you guys have already brought before this program, experiential knowledge, you already know that conflict that's unresolved slows down progress. And it slows down your marriage. So if you're not in agreement, it can be said that my marriage is slowing down. We're not walking. We're not moving. and not progressing. And so it would behoove me to figure it out. And so I got three choices. I can accommodate, I can compromise, I can collaborate, and moving forward with that. So hopefully that'll be your motivation, with the realism that if this is unsolved, our marriage is not moving.
Time moves by so fast.
Yes.
Because I'm loving. I told you I was excited about this conversation tonight. And you guys really, again, like Chris says, continue to raise the bar. So thank you all for being a part of our show tonight. It seems like our viewers truly are enjoying this conversation. And we're going to bring you guys back on before we actually close out the show. But thank you so much. Okay. We're going to bring our music makers on, okay? So thank you so much.
We'll talk to you in a few.
Who do we have?
We have as our music makers, guys. I'm telling you again, thank you for joining in and listening to the show. We have these music makers, and three things I'm going to say about them. One is that they are college sweethearts. Two, they live in Los Angeles, California. And three, they work for the University or UCLA. And four, I said three, but four, they can sing.
It's okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. I
and five.
No. And five.
No,
they actually used to live with, they actually used to live with us for a while when they lived here in Atlanta, Georgia. And they were a blessing to be around. Exactly. So let's welcome to the show our music makers, Alfred and Catherine Neal.
Woo!
What's up?
What's up, people?
How you guys doing?
It's good to see y'all. Oh my God, I've been waiting on this moment. We've had such a great engagement and interaction with the Taylors about conflict resolution. And I just know that this is going to be great for you guys to actually top off the cake with some great music. So tell us how long you guys have been married. I know you guys are college sweethearts. And then the song that you guys are going to be singing for us tonight.
We have been married for 14, check this out, and a half years.
Yeah.
I can't
Got the
keep
half
the
in
half
there.
off. Gotta keep the half.
Yeah, I'm 12 and a half years old, okay? 14 and a half years. And you guys were college sweethearts, right?
Yes.
What university?
So we met when we were pretty young. We actually met in the church. And that was actually the first time I ever heard him sing and heard him play. And I might have started having some feelings for him way back then. We were like 12 or 13 years old. But yeah.
And how long have you guys been in Los Angeles now?
A little bit over 6 years now.
6.5 years.
6.5. That is awesome. So we're excited about what you guys are going to be singing about tonight. So tell us the name of the song and why you guys selected that particular song.
We will be singing Keep the Faith by Pastor Charles Jenkins. And
yeah, we basically chose that song due to our own personal experiences. So that song is like one of the cornerstones for basically our marriage. And I think that keeping the faith and kind of adding on the extra tools that we may get from especially like Carlos and Catherine, who actually worked with us on our counseling a little bit, just trying to make us just a better couple. And I think that using this one, just keeping the faith all the way around actually keeps our marriage where it is today.
Awesome.
All right. Take it away.
Now, without further ado, Alfred and Catherine Neal.
All right. Power couples.
Yeah.
question is, when you're standing at a crossroads, what do you do? When a fork is in the road, what do you do? When the world is on your shoulders, what do you do? When your back is up against the wall, what do you do? What do you do? You hold on and keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Where do you look when there's nowhere else to look? Where do you turn when there's nowhere else to turn? Where do you go when there's nowhere else to go? What do you do when there's nothing else to do? You're in the master's hand, and the master has a plan. Hold on, and keep the faith. Keep the faith. Oh yeah. Keep the faith. Oh, keep the faith. He has worked it out before, and he'll work it out again. Trust God. Trust God. Victory is mine. Yeah. Victory is mine.
Is mine.
Oh,
Victory
is yours.
is yours.
Reach up and take your victory.
Victory
Is yours.
is yours.
Yeah.
Victory
Is ours.
is ours.
Claim your victory.
Victory
Is ours.
is ours.
Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Hold on.
Keep the faith.
Hold on, my brother.
Keep the faith.
Hold on, my sister. And keep the faith.
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith.
Keep the
Keep the faith.
faith.
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. You gotta keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith.
That's what I'm talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alfred and Catherine Neal. You've set the record for the amount of activity in the chat room. So,
Yes.
you've got a lot of fans. People want to know when the album comes out.
That's my brother over there, Jared. Good to see you.
Oh my
Hallelujah.
That was absolutely beautiful, you guys. Thank you so much for sharing your gift with the world tonight.
Yes.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate this.
Oh God, this is so
We
wonderful.
enjoyed it. We definitely are stronger to be able to handle it. That was something we needed. I think we all needed that, and appreciate you all.
Especially with the topic that we were talking about tonight, resolving conflict. Can we do it healthily? And with you guys just putting the icing on the cake about keeping the faith. What do? You keep the faith. And I love the t-shirt that you're wearing that continues to remind us to keep the faith as well. So thank you guys so much. Woo. Can we bring on Tina and Cory back then and keep Al and Alfred on? Alfred and Catherine on? Yes.
We can do whatever you want, Carlos. It's your show.
Whatever I want to do is our show. We can do whatever we want to do.
Oh my goodness, time just goes by so quickly, and this has been some rich and powerful information. I certainly have learned some things about how to handle and resolve conflict. Thank you for all of the tips and the skills that you've given us and our viewers to be able to use. And then also thanks to Catherine and Alfred for bringing such a lovely song. So with that said, I'm gonna turn it over to Carlos. And
well, I just want to make sure that our viewers know that our mission is to just create this collective community of couples through purposeful pathways, and the Power Couples Rock Live Show is a purposeful pathways so that we can actually have masterful marriages. And I think both the Taylors and the Neals really have been instrumental in making our vision come true tonight. So we really appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so for those of you, and I can't believe it, we've been over an hour and we still have a ton of people that are watching right now live. Thank you so much for doing that. And if you've hung this long, we know you are power couples. So go tell a power couple if they've missed, a live show. Go to powercouplesrock.com/live. They can catch it. They can, they don't get to interact like you guys got to tonight and ask questions, but they can at least watch it and get fed from everything from the Taylors and certainly the Neals and what they shared tonight. So with that being said, I think there's only one thing we need to do, Carlos and Catherine. What is it?
Everybody, let's get powered up! Yes!